We at Story Mode respect and value all of the publishers and members of the creative teams that create this content. Nothing that's displayed or discussed in this podcast was created by us. We are merely a group of dedicated fans who love discussing these stories and hope that you do as well. Please support the official release. So today we are going to be doing part 4, the long-awaited part 4 of our Marvel Knights series. We're going to be going over issues 10, 11, and 12, The Good with the Bad, Hero for Hire, and The Long, Long Night. Very short, very quick issues, very quick reads.
If you know Hero for Hire, then you should be guessing who we're going to see pop up in that issue.
Sweet Christmas.
The Cage of Luke himself.
It's a cage match.
There's always a chest right here, Vinicio. Just a heads up.
Very nice.
Anytime you're anywhere in the city, that chest is there.
Head for the location on your HUD.
Good to know.
But for the Marvel Knights, I think we start out in the first issue mainly focusing on Cagney and Lacey hijinks with Widow and Dagger, and we get to see the conviction of Frank Castle for the
Yes. I love how it's happened so many times. Dude. I do like how they didn't even draw it out this time. Usually the trials of Frank Castle were always these big ordeals, and this time they were just yeah, we got him again. Everybody,
96, what was it, 96 counts of assault.
Hold on, I actually have the list here. 16 counts of extortion, 570 violations of the Sullivan Act, which I can only assume is some type of anti-vigilante decree. 212 cases of aggravated assault, 96 charges of homicide, 39 incidents of terroristic threats, possessions of explosives, and possession of WMDs.
And they're just yeah, we're just gonna get right to it. Enough fooling around.
Yeah. Francis Castiglione, aka Frank Castle, aka all these different aliases. AKA the Punisher, a living, breathing nightmare.
Dude, this is totally unrelated to what you guys are talking about.
Oh, it's straight. What's up?
I was watching a Facebook video. It was Jack Black reviewing his IMDb page.
Oh yeah.
And he was in a movie early on in his career called Johnny Skid Marks. And he said it was like an action movie, and he told the writer or whoever that we need to change the name, and he's like, no, I like it, it rolls off the tongue.
Johnny Skid Marks.
He was like, so basically nobody went and seen that because they thought it was about a guy with shit stains.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, of course.
You gotta rope him in with the intrigue. You gotta get him with the mystique. That's how all the superheroes
Your eyes deceive you.
Yeah,
Johnny
man, for
Hammer
sure.
Sticks.
Johnny Hammer Sticks. That's fucking great. Johnny Skid Marks. Speaking of that, kind of a segue into somewhat related to both of what things we're talking about. Do you guys remember the Green Lantern movie with Ryan Reynolds? It was very poorly acclaimed.
Vaguely, I guess. Maybe.
I mean, you really just need to remember that it exists. You don't need to remember anything specific about it. But when they were making the Green Lantern movie, or very early in the writing stages, Jack Black was one of the final people they were considering for the role of Green Lantern. Yeah, and at the time, the movie was intended to be the only way I know how to describe it is a fart comedy, like a Jack Black kind of movie.
Fatties.
Yeah.
And like one of the stunts or feats or whatever they're gonna have him do was like use the ring to make like a big construct that was a fucking like a condom, and like trap a bunch of bad guys in the green condom.
The car gets stolen, and
Oh, she's pissed.
Widow refuses to involve the police.
Yeah.
No, she's going to do it herself. And Dagger's like, are you sure that's the best idea?
She's like, oh yeah, but whoever took it will wish I had called the police. But so she has like a shield tracker on the car, obviously, and tracks it. And she tracks the car down to like this crooked used car dealer named Mickey. And like as soon as she walks in, just blast him with a riot cross, like right in the face. He's like, "How can I help you, ladies?" Wow, where's my car?
Well, he's on the phone. He's like, "I'll be with you, ladies, in just."
Oh yeah, that's right.
He keeps talking to whoever it was. And then,
They're like, Mickey. And so and then Dagger like uses one of her light daggers to like if you're not familiar, she like if she hits you with one of those, it like purifies your soul, in the sense of like if you're doing bad stuff, like you'll no longer have the desire to do those things, and you'll be a good person from then on out.
yeah, kind of like an honest soul.
Yes.
Hit with that.
Right. And so she hits him with that. Then he's like, "Forgive me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been like 26 years since my last confession." And he starts going through like all the things that he's done. And Widow's like, "Take a seat. We're gonna be here for a while."
Just get to it. Where's my car?
So he tells her who he sold the car to, and then so they track the car down to
There's a chest with gear close
basically
by.
what is a bar, but Widow mentions that the bar is a front for more nefarious purposes. And so they walk in, where's the car, that whole spiel again. And the guy's like, maybe you guys can earn the car back with some dances. They just start kicking the shit out of everybody.
Yep, Widow agrees to it. Sure, I'll dance for you. Buys a couple of people.
Yeah, they just start whooping ass. And if you want to know what it's like seeing Widow whoop ass, you can just look at my screen.
Plain Avengers.
Ooh. But one of the guys tries to escape in the car, and Widow like uses the remote control to activate like
The flying mechanism, because it's like a shield car, and it just lifts up.
Once again.
Yeah, lifts up off the ground and just dumps the guy out. And there you go. Problem solved.
And the whole time she's paying just vast amounts of money to this cab driver.
Oh yeah,
Doesn't want to
man.
be where they are, just to hang around. And then she pays him even more money to take all of her clothes to her apartment because there's not enough room.
Yeah. I thought that was cool too, because he keeps going like, "This is a bad neighborhood, like I can't hang out here, man, like I'm not gonna get like return fare home." And she's just like throwing wads of cash at him, like, just hang out a minute, we'll be right back. So he probably made like
Dagger's
several.
like, how can you afford this?
Yeah.
He just saved the world from, trolls and stuff. So I think we're entitled to a shopping spree.
Now, while all this is going on, as we earlier mentioned, Frank Castle was convicted and arrested, and he goes to get transported to Rikers with what ends up being a couple of easily turned crooked cops.
Yes, super crooked cops, really. Like, dude, fucking chill. Like, you can't be that crooked. Like,
Yeah, they make reference to what that where they buried bodies before, so they
Yeah.
obviously had other criminals that they've made disappear and
Yeah.
never get to Rikers. And Frank Castle bribes him with drug money. I think it was stolen
Yep.
drug money.
yep, because that's when he kills, mobsters and drug dealers and stuff. He just raids their places and steals all their cash. And he pretty much tells them, look, I got $5 million in cash for y'all if you just let me go. And so they end up driving him to like one of his storage buildings where he's got some cash stashed. He goes, yeah, I've got clothes, guns, cash, you know, supplies.
DC-3.
Yeah, because he's like, I can just punch in the code. And they're like, wait a minute. What if it's a trap? We'll put in the code. And the other one's like, well, what if that's the trap? like, does he open the door? Do we open the door? Like, they're so nervous, man. Like, they just know one wrong move and they're dead. Like,
They are so ready to get taken out. They are so ready to get taken out.
yeah. And so they end up opening the door of the storage building, and as they open it, it activates like this heavy machine gun he's got in there. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like an LMG or a big AR or something, and it just like mows them down because it's on like a motion sensor. Yeah.
Yeah, they were on like photo sensor motion trackers, so they would even like catch people invisible or whatever. Just mows them all down. And my favorite line from the first issue is like, in situations like these, I find honesty is always the best policy.
Yeah, so they get killed, and he goes, but I didn't lie. I still, the money's here, and he picks up the $5 million and some other supplies.
And he just kind of walks off into the sunset. You know, another couple crooked
Yeah.
cops dead. You know, another
Yeah.
day, another dollar. You know.
It kind of reminded me of like the old Hulk show where Banner would always like walk down the road at the end of the episode, like, but it was like,
That's really sad music.
yeah, like hitchhiking with the backpack, but it's just Punisher and he's just walking with the trench coat and the duffel bag. I thought it was pretty cool.
$5 million in cash. I was having to make sure I was dodging. We gotta get to Hulk. We gotta get to Hulk. Crap. You notice, kind of a happy ending for everybody in the first issue.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really didn't see Shang-Chi or Daredevil or Moon Knight.
Right. And then the next issue is called Hero for Hire.
And it
And
starts out with our boy Luke Cage.
yeah. And yeah, it just immediately starts out with him like taking on some Serbian gangsters.
Trying to mess up Harlem, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I love the whole thing with Luke Cage being a hero for hire, which is something I wish we got to see in the series on Netflix. Because like the whole time, like that's what he's worried about. He's like even fighting criminals in the comics when he's doing this kind of stuff. He's always like, "Man, you're messing up my bottom line." Like, it's like you know, I have to get these shirts tailor made. You're shooting holes in them. You're obliterating my profit margin. Like.
Yeah, he's like, you know, my skin's bulletproof, not my clothes.
Yeah.
I love the comment Moon Knight makes to him when he shows up after a minute, and he's like, you know, honestly, I've got the bulletproof clothes, but I'd rather have the
Yeah,
bulletproof
he's like,
skin."
I'd rather have the skin. After he beats the Serbians, Moon Knight shows up, offers him a position on the Marvel Knights. Then it kind of cuts away, and you see Zeron, the Weapons Master, again. One of the
Yes.
original villains from the beginning of this run. He's like kind of walking down an alley, kind of down and out, and he gets approached by some goons of Shang-Chi's father. And they're like, "You have failed your mission. You did not kill Shang-Chi." And they're there to kill him because of his failure.
Yep. And the big guy goes in to take him out, starts throwing him into different shops and buildings, and you know, busting through walls trying to fight this guy with his big strength. And Saran just starts using everything.
Hey folks, it's
in his
Theo, your favorite
his
portal
power.
twin.
Oh, yeah.
Don't tell my sister I said
'Cause
that.
he is the Weapons Master.
We've got a situation on our hands, and Dr. Pym has
He's
asked
like
me to
throwing
pitch in and
hammers
help
at
us out.
him. He's like in a hardware store or something, man. He's like chucking claw hammers at
Scientist
him.
Supreme's cloning experiments.
Uppercuts him with a
Like a sledge, yeah. But he ends up taking out the big guy, and he gets subdued. He avoids death. He gets subdued by the little guy. They kind of subdue him, and they have like a little hologram thing where Shang-Chi's father like shows up on it. It's similar to like the Star Wars communication devices. And he's like, I'm gonna give you one more chance, you know, defeat Shang-Chi, or I'm gonna kill you.
So Moon Knight takes Luke Cage back to their headquarters and to like meet and greet with the rest of the team. And
Guess I do bite.
Daredevil is like voicing concerns over like, I don't think we should have a headquarters. Having a permanent address makes you open to attack. And everybody else is kind of like on the other side of it. They're like, no, there's a lot of cool stuff here. I think we need this. You know, we're essentially the last heroes that aren't affiliated with a team. And you know, it's
need something going
yeah,
on.
it's not muggers and stuff anymore. You know, we're fighting Ulick, King of Trolls, and like we need to start, you know, thinking ahead.
And when Widow says that, it makes a lot of sense to Daredevil because, you know, he is used to being a loner, he is used to being on the streets, but at the same time, you know, he kind of needs to warm up to some other stuff, you know.
Yeah, but they all decide to go after the Serbian gangsters that Luke Cage was messing with, because it turns out that one of them, Victor something or other, his last name's like a mile long, like Slobodnikonsky, you know, like he's like killed a bunch of children and stuff, and they're like, we can't let this guy go. So they decide to track him down.
And they end up at a bar in New Jersey. That's his
They do a lot of like New York stuff like that too with the New York heroes. Like anytime they're somewhere else and they're eating pizza, they're like, "You call this pizza?" Like,
Oh, you gotta love that kind of stuff. Once they get over to this bar, you know, Luke Cage, he's kind of wanting to go in because, you know, he's not getting paid by the hour, right?
yeah,
You know, that whole,
yeah.
you know, hero for hire type of thing. And, you know, Daredevil wants to come up with some grand master strategy.
Yeah,
Everybody else is just kind of like, okay, what are we doing?
yeah. Him and Moon Knight just get into it over like who's in charge. It's the whole thing. So Luke just jumps off the roof and just starts kicking the shit out of everybody down there. It's like, hasn't he ever heard of strategy? It's like, haven't you ever heard of a full court press?
Press.
He seems to be doing pretty well.
And he does. He picks up a car, starts barreling around with it, pushes it in the front door.
Oh
You
yeah,
know, it's like, hey, we're here for Victor.
yeah.
Give him up.
Hand him over, there'll be no problem.
No longer
And so they kind of like fight their way through like this like platoon of just mobster goons, and
And
they make their way in.
Cage recognizes Shades.
Yeah, and they come across a newly formed alliance of different low-level supervillains. And you got Tombstone, a classic Spider-Man villain, along with some lesser-known names: Bullet, Bingle,
Bangle,
and Big Ben.
which is a Luke Cage villain.
Yes, and Bullet and Bangle were old Daredevil villains from back in the day. Basically,
And-
Bullet's a big, strong guy.
Short of it is,
Bangle's like a martial artist with like a tiger gimmick, and Big Ben is an even bigger, strong guy.
He's big.
Yeah, he's big. Wrap his hand around your head, big.
I do think Bangle and Shang-Chi both reference that they have heard of each other.
Yes, they do. But yeah, then it kind of switches to the next issue, the final issue of the day, The Long, Long Night. The beginning of it, Nick Fury shows up at Black Widow's apartment again, and Tyrone, or Cloak, is there because they left him there while they went out. And he starts asking all kinds of questions like, who are you, where's Widow, like really kind of grilling him quite a bit.
Yep. And Tyrone's just like, oh hey, you know, they're out. They left me here. I'm just catching up. You know,
Yeah.
chilling.
Right. He's like, who are you? He's like, Nick Fury. He's like, no fooling? I'm like, yeah, man, no fooling. It's me.
Want some chips?
Yeah.
He's like,
Yeah.
"It's good to hear you.
Must be
You
defeated.
want some chips?"
chips.
Take
Okay.
things up a notch.
So since Nick Fury did get offered potato chips, what do you think is Nick Fury's favorite brand of potato chips?
Nick Fury's favorite brand of potato chips. I would have to say something old, like Bugles.
I think he's a classic Lay's kind of guy. Maybe wavy if he's feeling edgy. You know?
Right. Not for every day, but
Just on those occasions. Maybe
Those
he's
bugles sound good as hell.
right. When he's in a fun mood. I could see him like eating some kind of discontinued chip that only he has access to.
So the Marble Knights
Are fighting all these villains at this Jersey bar, and it's a pretty, I thought it was a pretty badass action scene. The bullet just comes right out of the gate, takes out their big gun. Luke Cage just tackles him where he's like far away from everyone else, and then they start fighting.
Tombstone lays down a bunch of cover fire to kind of pin the non-agile or invincible ones down.
Yeah, and Big Ben lunges toward Daredevil, like while this whole bunch of goons goes after like all the rest of them. Black Widow leads the charge, telling everybody, you know, hey, we gotta stick together to try to take away their firearms advantage. And that was when Shang-Chi faces off with Bengal. So Big Ben and Daredevil are facing off, and it's like it looks ridiculous because Big Ben is like so much bigger. I swear this guy's like 18 feet tall, and he's huge. And like Daredevil's like bouncing around, like laying kicks on him and doing all this flipping around and stuff. And Big Ben like grabs him, just wraps his palm around his head. He's like, "You come into my town, talking trash." He's like, "Nothing you can say is gonna save you." And Daredevil's like, "Well, then I guess I'm just gonna have to stop talking," and just starts whooping the shit out of him. Lays a pretty significant beat down on him. Like Luke Cage, like crawling out of this like hole in the wall, like ripping his shirt off.
Oh, bullet! He
yeah.
threw him into a building. Because he even makes reference to, you know, hey, your skin's bulletproof, but on the inside you're still weak.
Yeah. Dagger and Moon Knight end up making it look like kind of actually inside the bar. Just start laying down some good old-fashioned whoop ass on everybody. I like the part too where like Shang-Chi and Bengal were like facing off and they're like talking, and he's like, "This is the, you know, blah blah blah, like hidden crane tiger dragon fighting style," or whatever it was. Your classic kung fu movie
like,
thing.
There's only one way to defeat that.
And he's like, "Well, what is it?" And then Black Widow comes up behind him and just blasts him with the Widow's bite. Takes him out. She's like, "Widow, what have you done?" She's like, I showed him.
I showed him. I showed him. During all of this, though, after Cage gets taken out and thrown into a building and has part of it collapse in on him, Tombstone pulls out a bazooka. He goes to shoot it, and old Victor's like, "You can't shoot that in here. Watch me."
Boom! And it's like massive
Knocks out
explosion.
Thank you.
Yeah, like Daredevil, Black Widow, like they all just go flying. They're like massive explosion.
Then she decides that she's going to make a, I forget what the exact quote was, but it's basically, you know, "I'm going to make you pay" kind of line.
Mm-hmm.
And you see something kind of funky in her eyes, like these black spots start swirling.
Yeah, it's the same stuff that was in her eyes in the last episode they did when they finally took down Cloak.
Which we see the tentacles get done by Dagger. We get a good old sweet Christmas.
Yeah, and like she just takes out Bullet like instantly. Like Cage has been duking it out with this dude like this entire time, and she just picks him up with these tentacles and like it's just like he's gone. He's gone.
Yep.
All of the bad guys are gone.
Yep. Shang-Chi and Daredevil. Where is it?
Yeah, they're like, there's no way they just left. They had us at their mercy. We were knocked out. They're like firing bazookas at us. Like, they didn't just leave us alone.
And Dagger says she doesn't fully remember this. She just remembers getting angry at one point. Drains him out.
Yes, I do, but
Dude, we're laying the fucking smackdown on him now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well done.
Boom. Just like the SmackDown got laid on the new Marvel Knights villain team in a New Jersey nightclub. News at 9.
Yeah. Also, there's a cutaway back to the apartment where Cloak is hanging out with Nick Fury, and he's like, "You sure you don't want some popcorn?" And he like throws some popcorn in the microwave, and when he turns on the microwave, Fury like grabs his head like he's like in intense pain and gets up and starts like screaming. He's like, "Turn it off!" And he's just like so confused. He's like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" And Fury just walks over and just puts his fist through the front of the microwave,
Clone abominations
like
are no
shutting it off.
You all did an
And so
awesome
you're sitting there
job.
like, what the hell was that all about? But anyway, then like, yeah, and then it cuts back to like all the Marvel Knights. They're on their way home. They're in a Moon Knight's like plane or jet. I think he has some kind of like moon pun name for that thing, like the Crescent or something. I just don't exactly remember what it is.
They go downstairs and then they
Yeah.
get into the apartment, and lo and behold, what do they
It's
see?
an LMD.
The LMD go nuts over the microwave.
I don't know, probably just mess with some kind of robotic, stupid plot point in his head.
We do see a lot of setup in these issues for things to come.
Yes. Also, like you see, Zeron finds the headquarters and reports back to Shang-Chi's father, and he's like, he goes, he's got allies. Some of them you fought before. They got this headquarters, and so Shang-Chi's father is like, well, I want you to lead the attack with like all these warriors he sends in, like scores of warriors. He calls them Dacoit. I don't know how you pronounce it. They're basically like, think the Hand, but probably not as tough.
Yeah, you know, you're
Basic
martial
ninja,
artist, ninja
samurai
veterans.
type of dudes. The next little section of issues, the final 3 issues, which will be our 5th and final episode of this run. Next week, will the Marvel Knights be victorious against Shang-Chi's father and his bunch of goons? Zeron the Weapons Master. Will Daredevil and Moon Knight stop having pissing contests and actually be parts of the team?
Will they work together? Will they get along? Will Barney come in and sing I Love You?
Will Dagger actually wear something different? Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.
On Marvel Knights.
Not sure there's any chance of us getting into the city
It's
undetected.
like, wait,
Yeah,
wrong show.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Make sure you keep an eye out for part 5 of the Marvel Knights discussion series, at the end of which we will be revealing the beginning of our next series upcoming, and it is going to be super exciting. You're not going to want to miss it. It's about a super obscure character, and one of which we've not talked about yet. You're going to love it. And as always, please support the official releases, because without these hardworking creators, we would not have any of these characters in any of these stories. You gotta love them.